Good morning. Today we are going to look at how to create a Google Forms quiz. In order to do that, you need to go to google.com/forms, and then you'll enter into forms here. I already have it pulled up. Once you're in there, you'll press the blank plus button, or if you want to use any of the templates, you might find those useful. It'll open up in a new tab your form. The first thing you'll want to do is give your form a title. And the next thing is go over to the gear button and say collect email addresses. If you're in an education domain, it may automatically collect it, but just double check to see that that's been collected. Then, since we're making a quiz, you'll press the quizzes and make this a quiz. You have a couple options here. You can release the grade immediately after submission or do a manual review and then manually release the grades. When you release it, it'll give you an option so they can see what questions they missed and get the correct answer. So make sure you save that. So it's already given you the title that you used up here. You can put a description. Whatever you want to put there. And again, we required an email address. Then you're going to be adding questions. So your first question is already there. This might be your first question. It's going to automatically put as a multiple choice answer, but it will read your question and give you what it thinks is the best answer format. So your answers might be George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and so on. And you can press enter to get your next option, or you can just click down in there. This over here allows you to add images, which could be useful for your quiz. And then once you've created your first question, you can press answer key, or you can wait until the end to do this. So I'll go ahead and add another question, and then I'll show you how to do the answer key. Who was And again, what might have been useful for me for this is actually to duplicate this question. So up here, I could have pressed the duplicate. It would have duplicated my answers, and then I could just go in and say second, right? So now I want to make my key, and I'll press answer key, increase the number of points I want it to be, and then select the correct answer. You can select multiple correct answers if you'd like to do that. And again, I can come down here and do the same thing. Select the correct answer. For questions, you can have a variety of answer options, a drop-down menu, check boxes, linear scale, date and time if those are useful. For the answer key, if you're doing short answer or paragraph, it's a little bit more difficult to create an answer key for that. So for example, if I said who was America's third president, and I wanted to do an answer key, I can put the correct answer, but it would have to be exactly as I typed it. So if you have students that don't capitalize the T, or they misspell something, then it wouldn't be considered correct. So you may want to just do answer feedback, which could give the correct answer here. All right. So those are things to consider when you're making your quiz. Once you've done that, you need to send, and you can send it through email, posting a link, or hyperlink. Sometimes I have students create a practice quiz as a way to study for a quiz. And so I'll have them post their link in our Google Classroom so other students can take their quiz. So that's a useful way to do that. And I've actually created a document that explains to them how to do this. You can see it here. It's step by step, and I'll include that link at the bottom of the YouTube video. So once you've done all that, I'm going to show you an example. I've created a reading check, and you can see all my questions here, and you can see that I've already received responses for that reading check. So your responses, it's going to give you some fancy graphs on how people did on this particular reading check. It'll give you individual scores, and then it'll also break down the question how people did on individual questions. So, like this one was missed fairly regularly. So you can kind of look at it that way. A new feature that Google Form has is this question feature. And you can go by the individual question and see how people did. So for example, for this first question, all 56 students got this correct. Whereas question 4, 43 got it correct, 13 did not. So it lists who got it correct and who didn't. So that can kind of help you when you're looking back on your responses. It also lets you look at an individual summary of individual students and how they did on the quiz, which can be very useful. So your quiz is ready to send out and evaluate responses. The other useful tool is this view responses in sheets. So here I have the responses, and it gives you a sheet of all your responses and the answers that those students put in there. And again, if you want to use this you can sort the sheet A to Z, different things like that. If you have different class periods, maybe you would want to include a class period for that particular question so you can sort it that way for your gradebook. And that's how you create a quiz in Google Forms. Hope you find it useful.